So today we are gathered to protest about the undermining of women's rights that's been going on in recent years. We're specifically here today because the Stage 1 report on the Gender Recognition Reform Bill has come out, and we are really concerned that the government haven't actually listened to any of the voices, including the EHRC, who are telling them that this will affect women's rights under the Equality Act. So the Equality Act has a protected characteristic of sex. It stops discrimination, sexual discrimination. It also allows women to have organisations and spaces that are specifically for women, especially things like rape crisis shelters or prisons, or when people are very vulnerable in hospitals. It enables women to ask for female carers if they're very ill. And what has now happened with this bill is they're opening up a method whereby people can change their legal sex just on the basis of self-declaration. And we have grave fears that this is going to make it increasingly difficult for these spaces and services to be preserved, and that increasingly people are not going to differentiate between men and women in society. And as we know from history, when that happens, women always come off the worst.
I'm here with my sisters this morning outside the Scottish Parliament to protest what appears to be the fast tracking of the Gender Recognition Act, which has been in the pipeline for quite some time now, and for that same amount of time raised our concerns about the way that the passing of this bill will affect women's rights all over Scotland, and indeed the safeguarding of children also. And so, having, along with some other women, attended some of the committee meetings that took place here to hear witness statements before Parliament stood down for the summer, we heard very, very concerning details in that there seemed to be a singular lack of evidence as to why the Gender Recognition Act is primarily a good thing in Scotland. We felt it was very one-sided, and were astounded to hear witnesses from other nations where gender recognition policies have been put in place, that there was in actual fact no harms would be brought about, whereas we're very, very aware of that. And those harms are principally in the area of women's rights, women's access to single-sex spaces, to single-sex services such as rape crisis, domestic violence. This also feeds into education and into women's sports, and basically into the rights of 52% of our population. And we're here to say no today. What's happening in schools is that the curricula have been infiltrated by education and policies that are generated by Stonewall, the gay charity, and by lots of other LGBT organisations that are affiliated to Stonewall, teaching material that is anti-biology, anti-science and anti-women's rights. And generally speaking, when it comes to the topic of gender, to young people who want to identify as a gender other than that which they were observed at birth, the treatment or the counselling that they receive is affirmatory only, which is extremely dangerous. It means, I mean, you know, it's not for nothing that the Tavistock in London has been closed and is to be redesigned as a service. We're rather hoping that happens in Scotland, because the affirmation model for gender diverse children is very dangerous. It sets them on a medical pathway and a drug pathway for life. And we can already see young people who are detransitioning because whatever issues they've been dealing with, whether just puberty or mental health conditions that have remained unaddressed, means that they're accelerating through a process that sees them, that leaves them. Mutilated is a very strong word, but it's the word that's being used to describe the surgery that's being carried out on young women primarily.
My name is Mian. I'm director and co-founder for Women's Scotland. And I'd like to thank each and every single one of you for coming out today. The sun shines on the righteous. Just to start off and get some energy going. Women won't wished. Women won't wished. We are women. We are our own sex class. No one asked us if we were happy to give our rights away or take our name away from us. But apparently our government thinks that's fine. It's not fine. We never agreed to this, and we will stand and fight for this like they've never seen anything like this before. And if they think that even by passing the GRA that they think that we'll put up and shut up, they've got another thing coming. So,
who said, I want my personal care in hospital, or a parent of a vulnerable child who wants personal care from a woman, did you ever imagine that you would be calling these people bigots? Did you ever imagine that a woman subject to male violence and wants a safe place to go, wants a place to go and heal, who does not want to be re-traumatised, did you ever imagine that you would say they should reshape their trauma? And I'm telling you, if what you are arguing for means that these women in prison, in hospital, vulnerable to violence, are collateral damage, that is unacceptable, and you need to think again.